I've watched one of the latest presentations of OpenAI a couple of days ago where they basically went ahead and built kind of a travel website using ChatGPT Codex, and they were showing a bunch of new features. There was one thing that really sparked my interest, which was one of the developers grabbed his phone and took a picture of a whiteboard where they basically painted out some new features that they want to have in the app and so on. And then he gave instructions to ChatGPT Codex from his phone, which then triggered a cloud worker, which I think is running on a virtual instance or something on GitHub. And after a while, actually presented them with two different versions of the changes that it has implemented on a separate branch. And it looked really awesome. And I actually tried it out yesterday on my phone while I was lying on the couch relaxing a bit. And I got it to work as well, which is really interesting because it's a little bit different from using something like Codex on the CLI or Cloud Code or something. You can basically do that on the go. So you can hook up your repository and then you can open the ChatGPT Codex app on your web browser. You can't access this through ChatGPT yet on the phone. I don't know why. Maybe they will. I'm pretty sure they will introduce that later. But I had to use the browser to get on Codex, basically. And then I had to connect my GitHub repository. And I was actually able to modernize my website. I opened up my portfolio website that I haven't touched in 3 years. And I told it to modernize it to 2025. And it actually went ahead and sent the task to GitHub. I got logs from a server where it was coding. I could look at it live, basically. And at the end of that, it presented me with two versions with screenshots. So it did two different versions for me to choose from, and then created branches for both of them, which I could check out on my computer and look at it. And it actually looked pretty incredible for a one-shot. It completely modernized the entire site. It's just a single page application, but anyway, it's quite dynamic and pulling in some data and stuff. So that got me interested in making a video. This video will not be about doing this from the phone. This will be a different video. If you're interested, let me know in the comments below, and then I will present a video like that. But now what I actually wanted to try is to do that from VS Code, so from the computer. We're going to also use this portfolio from me, what I want to modernize anyway, and we try to modernize it using those cloud workers, but out of VS Code, which is also working with the ChatGPT Codex VS Code extension. If you want to learn more about it, I recently did a video about Cloud Code versus ChatGPT Codex. If you want to check that out, I drop it in the upper right corner for you right now. And I think we're just going to go and have a look and try to modernize my personal portfolio using ChatGPT Codex Cloud Workers. Before we get started with coding, guys, only 3.5% of my current viewers are subscribed to the channel. It would really help me out if you hit that subscribe button and also the notification bell if you want to get notified if I release a new video. Thanks for that, and let's get right in. Okay, so I just opened up my portfolio and I'm going to show you how it looks like in the original version. It's my portfolio website, stefanrose.com, and it's past due that I actually update that to 2025. As I said, I last touched it in 2023, I think. It's an Astro application. As you can see how old it is, it's Astro version 1. I think we are now on version 4 or 5. Nevertheless, this is how it looks like. It's completely handwritten because back then we didn't have AI to write our code. This was kind of a portfolio thing that I used on my application, which actually landed me my current full-time job as a senior software engineer. I'm still not sure how I did that with this page, but whatever. It's basically a dynamic page which pulls in some of my Udemy courses. It has some reviews there of some customers of my courses and a little bit about me section, but you can see it's very simple. It's just a scrolling page with some parallax effects and stuff like this. Here are some of my popular YouTube videos. This, of course, will be made dynamic in the update as well. So the latest YouTube videos will always be showing up here instead of just old Kali Linux and ethical hacking videos. Technologies I use has to be updated as well. So it's all like dynamic cards with hovering effects and stuff like this. And a bunch of projects that I have built, which are not even up to date anymore because a lot of them I don't have anymore. They were turned out to be not worthwhile, or I didn't put enough time in it. Yeah, and that's basically it. It's a very simple page, and if you scroll up, it has some nice effects where everything kind of scrolls out of the screen again. And of course, it's should be at least fully responsive for mobile devices. So everything should scale nicely. As I said, it's hand-coded, but it's very outdated. Now, before we go and actually do that, I want to show you what ChatGPT Codex came up with yesterday when I just said in the intro that I tried that from my phone, because I found it's really, really interesting what it came up with a one-shot prompt in the cloud. So I'm gonna check out that branch that Codex has created, and it's even labeled Codex, create branch for site modernization, whatever. And if we run it now, it's definitely not perfect because I think Chrome MCP DevTools did not properly work. So it couldn't actually look at the finished result. I don't know why. I haven't figured that out yet. But nevertheless, it came up with a quite impressive result. So right away you can see there's 2025 edition. It looks way more modern than what I've built. It also still uses this scroll effect. It's not polished, but I mean, for a single prompt, it looks pretty impressive, I have to say. I like the fonts that it used. I like the color. It's very minimalistic. It looks clean too. The projects, I very much like how it did the projects thing. Yeah, and then some write me box and some additional stuff, social links and so on. So this is really impressive. So I'm really, really excited to see what it can come up with if we give it a bit more details. And literally what I wrote in the prompt to get this result was, my portfolio website is 2 years old or 3 years old and I want to modernize it. Please do that, make it look modern. That's all I did. So there is no extensive responsiveness testing and stuff like this going on. That's what we try to do now. I have a feeling this is going to be a little bit of a longer video again. And yeah, I don't want to excuse myself for that, but some of those topics, they just have so much content and context that it's very hard to condense that in a 15-minute video or something. If you want to watch a 15-minute video that delivers the same amount of content and detail like this one, I don't know, good luck to find it, but I just can't do it. So if it's gonna be longer, yeah, you can still use the time code and the timestamps below in the comments in the video description to basically jump around to the parts that interest you. Anyway, let's get started. So the first thing we of course do is we start ChatGPT Codex. Now, I'm already in the repository and I already have linked my repository. How it worked was you have to click on this little set local or cloud icon here, and you can already see that my repository, which is this one, shows right up here, right? So I connected it. If it's not the case, you have to click here, I think, and then it says connect GitHub or something. And then you need to give ChatGPT access to your GitHub repository, but don't worry, it only gets the default permissions. Like, let's say if you connect it to Vercel or Netlify, you still have to go ahead and explicitly tell it to which repository it has access to. You can also grant access to all of your repositories if you choose to. I would not recommend that. Just out of good practices, don't do it. Just always choose and give access to the repositories you actually want to work in. That's my recommendation at least. And yeah, then you have it connected. It's very easy. You get through that yourself. But for now, I'm going to choose this repository and we can see the check mark is here. And here, instead of local, I'm going to choose run in the cloud. Now you can see that there is the cloud icon on the top left corner. Then we can see what code should the cloud task start from. So you can, for example, choose a different branch, but since we are on, it's still called master and not main because the repo is old, I'm still going to choose this master branch because that's the state I want to start from. And now comes the very interesting part. You see down here on the right, number of parallel attempts for Codex to make. So that basically means how many versions of the instructions that you give it do you want to create. You can go with one version, which is basically your default experience that you would get if you work locally. But you can do two versions, which means that ChatGPT Codex will create 2 or up to 4 different versions of the task that you give it, and you can then choose from the one that you like best. Now, for the example of this video, I use 2 versions. I probably will never use more than 2 versions because I don't want to choose between 4 different versions. That's just me though. I know you guys can be different, but just that you know that it's possible. And if you switch back, for instance, to work locally, this option completely disappears because it doesn't exist locally. So again, you go and run in the cloud, and I choose 2 versions here. Next, we need to think about what kind of instructions do we want to give it. I think this is really made for longer instructions. When I use ChatGPT Codex on my local machine or Cloud Code or whatever, I usually break down my instructions in chunks so it's more manageable for the AI and the context is not too long, which usually results in better outcomes, at least for me. But here, on the other hand, I feel like this is made more for longer instructions and larger refactors or larger feature implementations. So I really have to play around more with it. Like I said, yesterday was the first time I used it from my mobile phone, so I don't have any experience whatsoever. And I also found that yesterday when I used it on the mobile phone, it had some issues with Chrome MCP DevTools. Chrome MCP DevTools is the MCP server of Chrome DevTools. And it allows basically the AI to open a browser and actually like browse in real time on your page. So it can very easily spot issues when it comes to responsiveness, and maybe even it can pull out console logs directly from your browser and all this kind of stuff. So it's really good for testing, and I actually implemented that in my workflow when I'm working on my SaaS project. I'm going to make a separate video about that as well in the future. Okay, so that's just as a side note. Okay, what I would like to do now is I would like to craft an elaborate set of instructions that I want it to finish without our interference. So that means we are going to modernize our portfolio website, and your tasks are, okay, first, introduce breakpoint, let's say introduce the most used breakpoints for responsive web design in 2025. Go mobile first approach. Go with a mobile first approach. You get it. That's very important because then it's automatically testing the different important breakpoints if the UI is scaling nicely. Basically, it should do that if MCP is working, which we're going to find out in a minute. Okay, second, this is my portfolio website and I haven't updated it in 2 years. Make sure to update all dependencies to the latest version without breaking anything. Triple check breaking dependency upgrades, just in case. You never know. Because I know there are some issues with the newest version of Astro and Tailwind that it can be a bit messy, so I wanted to triple check if everything is fine. Third, modernize the website to a professional looking 2025 standard. I really do like the latest update of iOS with all the glassy stuff going on. So I'm gonna kind of include that. You can take inspiration in the latest macOS update that uses glass morphism, I think it's called. I really like that. Okay. If you have any further questions to clarify, go ahead. And actually, let's leave that out. Or let's leave it in and let's see what happened, because I haven't sent it. I'm sure it's sending it right into the cloud and we don't even get a context here, but maybe let's see. Let's fire it up. and see what happens. This is very exciting for me. So now we can see that there's a new task and it's actually running in the cloud. So let's see what it's doing here. Task history, that's just our old tasks. You can see it's starting the container right now. And I'm not sure if we can get into that. We can go into that. So there is, you are viewing a Codex Cloud task. There are our instructions, and here is attempt 1 and attempt 2. So we can see, we should be able to see what it's doing. Well, I'm not gonna let you wait here. So it's starting the containers. In both attempts, I would say it's going with attempt 1, and it's probably going to start attempt 2. And we'll be back with the final result. While our cloud worker is working in the background, I digged a little bit into the docs, which is really interesting. I'll drop all the links in the video description below if you want to check that out for yourself, which I highly recommend. Basically, it says here exactly how Codex Cloud tasks work, and I highly recommend you guys to check that out. So it says under the hood, here's what happens when you submit a task. We prepare a containerized environment with your repo's code at the desired branch or SHA and your setup and maintenance scripts. So then they give it internet access. So the agent has internet access, and it's basically working in a sandbox, I assume running on some of OpenAI servers. That's at least what I guess. It's not explicitly written here. Maybe some of you guys know that, so you can leave it in the comments. And you have a bunch of different options here. You can set environment variables and secrets and all this kind of stuff, which I show you in a second. You can run some additional setup scripts. You can use container caching, internet access, and network proxies, all this kind of stuff. And to get there, basically, you have to go to chatgpt.com/codex/settings. So these are your Codex settings. And you have some options here for code review, which can automatically run if you set that up. I think so. So this is my repository here. And if I choose that, I can set it to review my PRs and only run on pull requests opened by me. So this is really interesting. You can automatically let Codex run over your pull requests and give it a double check. As for connectors, this is basically where you connect your GitHub. So if you don't find it any other way, head to the settings and to connectors and connect your GitHub that way. And if you go on environments, you can actually see which environments are currently connected, or you can go and create a new environment where you basically can set up your virtual machine or your cloud instance, however you want to call it. You can hook up a repository, and you can be a little bit more dynamic here. You can add some pre-installed packages. You can add environment variable secrets, container caching, and so on and so forth. Basically everything that was described here, you can set up right here, and then you can even connect to the interactive terminal and run some stuff in there. I haven't had any use case yet where I needed to do that, so definitely going to look into it more in the future. I just wanted to show you that this exists so you can check it out on your own. And it seems like it's still working on task 1, and it's probably coming up with a thorough plan. So we're just gonna let it work, and we'll be back with the results in a moment. Okay, it seems like it has just finished, and as I said, first time using this. I do not see any screenshots in here, but it seems like it used both attempts, and it looks like here the build was successful and here it kind of failed. So I'm not sure what exactly that means. Nevertheless, if I click on this Codex Cloud task thing, I actually get into the view that I had yesterday on my phone as well. So if you look at that, you can exactly see all of the changes that it did, and you can switch between version 1 and version 2. And well, it basically touched every single line of code, as it seems like. So it basically changed everything, more or less. And you can click in the individual files. You can check package.json and this kind of stuff. It's a little bit confusing in terms of the testing here, because it says the registry access returns some errors, whatever. But I think we are going to have a look at that. I just wanted to show you one thing, which is the create PR button here. So you can choose a version that you like better, probably. And you can directly create a PR or a draft PR here. So this is quite useful. And you can also check out the logs here and kind of see what it did step by step. So we could actually go ahead and check if we can see if there is some error. It seems like, well, it seems like here is an error. Okay, but we're gonna check that out in VS Code. So let's try to click on, I don't know, attempt 2 and click on apply. So the changes were applied, and now I'm not entirely sure if it is used attempt 1 or attempt 2. Let's have a look. Make it a little bit smaller so I can actually navigate somewhere. So we can see the package JSON here, and I'm just gonna do that. Mostly because I am lazy, and I'm gonna open that up as a screenshot. And then I go back here, so we have 23 files that have changed. And what I want to do is I want to click on attempt 1 and see. Yeah, so this was attempt 2, it seems like. So we can literally switch between those two. So if I click on attempt 1 and I click on apply, it's probably going to apply these changes. And it already says changes partially applied because we do now have some conflicts and some stuff that it has skipped. So I would say we go on revert for now. It's a little bit weird how they do it, to be honest. That should definitely be clearer, but now it looks like we are back on the initial state because we have no changes in Git. So if you want to switch between attempt 2 and attempt 1, it looks like you would have to click on revert first before you do that. And yeah, basically then do it. So I go to attempt 1 this time. And now I want to reapply. Now it shouldn't throw any issues. Good. And we can see it has 32 files. So there's clearly a difference. The other one had 23 changed files and this one has 32. But since we want to compare it, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run npm install. And probably we need to update a lot of the versions. So I'm quickly going to do that. It's because we updated the packages in package.json. We went to the latest version. So you can see Astro is the Netlify adapters even on version 5. We did not even have a version there, as it seems like. And Astro went on version 4 and we were here on version 1.6. So you can see it actually did everything and it stuck with Tailwind 3, which is good because I know that doesn't break anything. So it did its research and actually updated the correct versions, it seems like. And we don't even get a warning about severe vulnerabilities, which is always great, I think, if you use npm and you know what I'm talking about. And then we're gonna do npm run dev and actually have a look at the first version of the results. Okay, let's see. It started without an issue. And I'm really excited to see what it came up with and if it's working. Okay, we have an issue. There is an error, unable to render icon because it is undefined. Okay. So this is something that's easy to fix, but anyway, it did not do it on the first try, which is no problem. Now, I don't want to touch this because that's kind of our version control thing. And I want to revert back to the other version. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a new chat and I'm going to go locally. And I'm simply going to drop in that error right here and it should basically be able to fix it rather quickly. And I'm going to go with Codex Medium to not waste all of my tokens for that. Let's see if it can fix it. Should be an easy fix. And then look at it again. It seems like it has fixed some of the errors, but there are still new errors popping up. But now it actually did a npm run build and it should work if it doesn't get any errors in the build. We should be good, but we are not actually. So another error, that's the second error. I'm gonna drop that in there now and see if it can fix it. Okay, it seems like there was a missing iconified JSON package. It installed it and I could see the site already popping up here. Let's see if it's finished before we continue. That's actually quite a sloppy error, I have to say. It should have run npm run build and then continue to iterate over the errors. So it indicated to us that it had an error, but then it didn't fix the error, which I don't understand. Either way, let's look at my portfolio, version 1. As you can see right away, it looks pretty similar to what it came up with yesterday on the first try, but it does look a little bit more refined, I would say. It looks better. I really like it actually, like the landing, the hero section first glance. It looks fantastic. Principal, engineer, and educator. Okay, well, there you have it. Then we have the stuff that I'm probably wrote somewhere that I'm doing. We have our signature platforms engineered with care and clarity. It looks awesome. That looks really good, and it has the rounded glass morphe kind of vibe to it. Then we have some of the reviews, I would guess, but this is definitely messed up. The stars are missing. Workshops, keynotes, and courses. So there are my courses without any images, and I don't know, no ratings. I think this is definitely missing. And we have a simple, well, welcome or say hi box. Yeah. Well, I mean, for a one-shot, it's not all too bad. Definitely needs refinement, but I think it's a solid result. What happens here? Okay, it's leading us to the link tree. There's another video how we refactored this recently. If you want to check that out, I'll drop it into this video. And let's test the mobile version as well. Let's test the responsiveness of the whole thing. Like, don't get me wrong, I really like the result. It looks like it's perfectly responsive. It looks great. A little bit too much gap in here and here. Okay, it does actually not look that great. Never judge too fast. Okay, maybe it was because I was dragging it around. This looks better, and here you can actually... No, there are not no star ratings on the GitHub courses. Okay, so this is our first result, and I would say this is something you can work off. I would definitely use this kind of styling and just refine it a little bit and have everything back, like my courses and stuff like this. Oh, we're still the highest rated PF Sense course on Udemy. That's cool. Good to know. Yeah, okay. Good. Next one. So I will take you to the process to get back to the other result if I can even manage. So I'm going to do git checkout -b, and I'm going to do, how do we call that? Codex version 1 YouTube, whatever, just so that I can refer back to it. And then I'm gonna add all these changes. Oh, they are already added. Okay, do it again. All right, and then I'm gonna check out master again. I'm gonna git pull, and I'm gonna revert all of these on the master branch. Okay. All right, now we should be back. We're gonna delete the node modules folder just to make sure, as well as the dist folder. Okay. I don't know if that works if you also just click on the button and change back, but maybe you guys can let me know when you play around with that. It's always learning as we go. Okay. Now we need to get to attempt 2 and see how that looks like. And now I'm gonna apply that. Okay, so this worked. This worked perfectly fine. So if you wanna replicate that, you can just do that. Now we need to do a npm install and then check if it's working without errors as a first thing, I would say. All right, so the installation went through fine. And as we can see here in the package JSON, everything was updated accordingly as well. We have Tailwind 3, Astro 4, and all the other stuff is updated as well. As you can see, there's not many things in there anyway. So let's give it a go. I already installed the dependencies. And let's see how that looks like in comparison with the first version. At least it should not error out on us, so there was no error message and nothing. There's just a warning, that's okay. Let's open it. Okay, first glance looks pretty similar to the other one, but I can see right away that it looks a little bit cleaner. I like it more on first glance. I'm not sure how it came up with these texts from what I've initially written. So this is of course something, I don't know why it came up with partnering with remote first teams to design systems, and well, okay. Well, it did its best, but we of course have to adjust the text how we wanted it. It's more about the design. We did not say anything about content. We have this very nice newsletter box here with the email consent button. We have to of course test if this still works. And we have our ratings back. So this worked flawlessly, it seems like. Didn't work in the first try. Cool. Nice hover effects on the button. There is the ratings. The images look quite nice. There are the ratings without the stars, but it's an easy fix. There's the description about myself. I like this read the blog button. Start a project leads to the email. Nice picture. Everything is nice and round. Maybe a little bit much padding around. Well, fresh drops from the channel. I like how that is modern. It's cool. Looks nice. Nice buttons, nice hover effects. Everything looks clean. Tech shaping my current builds. Well, that definitely has to be updated anyway because it's not all that relevant anymore. And my projects. Live. I like this. With a live icon. The buttons look very nice. The colors look cool. It all looks like very fitting and nice. So just the content has to be updated. Social media icons are all there. Let's check the responsiveness finally. I have a feeling it will be good. It seems like it did some testing. I really don't want to read through all the logs because this makes the video much too boring. Let's give it a refresh. Hamburger menu is kind of working. Needs to be a little bit of refined, but it works. We have very nice looking above the fold section. Looks good. Everything is in its bounds. Okay. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's better than the other example. But we can go on the original page and compare it with that one. So this was the original page. I still like it, but it's a little bit dated. That's simply how it is. This looks much better. So I think overall we can say it did a great job, and it definitely was more about the experience of doing a one prompt and see how far it can get. And we also wanted to test out Codex. So I think mission successful on that end. Now we can still choose which version we want to use. So I'm probably going to check out that branch, and then I make my final decision, refine it, and ultimately will publish it. Maybe I do another video where I show you guys how to use the MCP of DevTools, Chrome DevTools, so we can work on that on the same repo and refine that using MCP, the MCP server of Chrome. Okay, another video is in the books, guys. I hope you enjoyed that one. As always, it's raw coding content here on this channel, or mostly at least. So nothing is really scripted. That's why we come to some hiccups sometimes, like comparing the end results and stuff like this. But nevertheless, it was fun. It was a fun learning experience. I hope you could take something away from this video as well. And let me know in the comments below if you want to see the Chrome DevTools MCP video as well. And any other content suggestions are happily taken. I thank you for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. This will really help me out. I hope to see you back in the next one. Until then.